Well, there's another important sign of spring. The snow tires are off. Now all I need to do is get the mud off. So a nice relief to get the snow tires off of the Jeep and get regular tires back on. Those big rim tires are heavy, but it's done. So we're back inside the shop and I've got the parts I need to start assembling this. So this is the first upright for the rack. So I've dry fitted all the crossers and everything. So I'm going to assemble that, and I can't put the top on it yet because if I do that, I'll make it too high and I won't be able to get it out the door. But one thing I did forget about that I've still got to add is that I have to cut another notch in here for a 2x6 that goes from one post to the one on the other side, just so that there is something actually connecting them at the bottom, because my roof is going to connect it at the top in the slot there, but I forgot about putting this piece in. So I've got to slot this out. So I'm going to take these all off and then add in that one more slot. But I have one other little project that I want to work on, and that is this. So I have a number of times found myself in a position where I could really use a small portable pump. And this came on sale at Princess Auto. It is small, but it's going to be everything that I need. It's 1 inch. Its output is about 1,200 gallons per hour. So that's pretty good. I'm quite pleased with that. If you work it out, it comes out to about 40 gallons a minute. And as far as I'm concerned, that should be more than enough. So I've got to get the hoses set up, but unfortunately, I kind of had a bit of a brain hiccup, as I need these cam locks to attach the hoses, but I only got one. I need two. There's 2 hoses, and both of my hoses have got cam locks on them to make it really easy to take things apart and move it around. And well, we'll just have to get it partially assembled, put it away, and then get one more cam lock and get that finished up. Alright, so there's my last notch here. Now this is what connects the 2 posts together. Now I've been back and forth on this how far apart to set the posts. I was initially thinking I was going to go 7 feet, and then I thought, no, that's just too much. And then I went down to 6 feet. So that only leaves 1 foot overhang on either side. So I think I'm actually going to reduce it to 5 feet between the posts. One thing I don't want to have happen is to end up with my boards sagging after being in here for a while. So I've decided to standardize on an 8-foot length for the sawmill. So that means I'm going to be cutting everything just slightly over 8 feet, like 8 feet 4 or something like that, to give me room to square the ends off and that type of thing. So 5 feet, I think, is a better distance between the two. Leaves about 1.5 foot overhang on either side. Reduces the distance in between, and hopefully that will prevent them from warping or from sagging, I should say, just from sitting in the rack. All right, so we're going to go in and get a bowl of soup, and then we're going to start assembling this one. All right, let's get this together. So first I am going to get my position here. Alright, now I got my position. I'm going to drill some pilot holes for my screws. Now I'm going to put in my bedding, or sealant. So the idea of this is just to keep the water out as much as possible to help prevent things from rotting. So for the top one, because it's a smaller beam, I used 3.5-inch deck screws. But for this, it's going to have more weight, heavier beam, so I'm using GRK screws for it. A little bigger, a little heavier. So now with the 2 uprights basically complete, I've got to start on the roof. And this is, like everything else I do, kind of design as you go. So right now I'm looking at
a 2x4 I've screwed onto my roof beam here that is cut at about a 30-degree angle, and then a couple of 3.5 screws through the side, and we'll have to figure that out. It seems fairly solid, but I'm not sure it's going to be solid enough. Anyway, I will play with that a little more tomorrow, and we'll see what we can come up with. And from what I understand, it's going to be raining like crazy tomorrow too. So it'll be good to be in the shop doing this rather than outside on the sawmill. So it's time to start work on the roof for the wood storage rack. So what I've done is I've got my 2x6 here that I've already cut a 45-degree angle on the top of. And then I've got my first 2x4 here. Now I've cut the 2x4 at an angle of about 30 degrees here. And because I don't want to risk splitting my wood, I've got this first joist in 2 inches from the end of the 2x6. And I've used deck screws to go down through it. Now the opposite side of this joist, I'm not going to put it right in line with this first one because I don't think I can make it strong enough that way. So what I'm going to do is offset it to the side a little bit so that I can then again put my wood screws right down through here. So I'm going to drill my wood screws through first and then attach this or hold this in place and put my screws through. So let's see how that works. So I have my joist arm location laid out here, and on the other side I've got that centered here. So I've got the center line for that joist location. So I want to drill through at roughly 45. And again, I'm using 3.5-inch deck screws. So I'll run these through just until the points start to come through. Now, I've got to try to hold this in place and get the screw up into it. So the next idea is I've offset them enough to be able to take this and run it down between them to tie the two together. All right, let's get a couple of small screws for that. So there is my first roof joist. That actually looks pretty good. Many of the things I do is a design as you go idea. So I'll cut up my material to get a bunch more of these in place. But I'm actually quite pleased with that. It does seem pretty rigid. I made these 28.5 inches long, so that gives me just a little over 4 feet all the way across, which is good. That's what I was looking for. All right, we'll get some more material cut and put a few more of these in place. Well, there is the roof assembly, complete with the exception of the planks being on top of it. So my idea of offsetting these boards in order to put screws all the way down through, I hope pays off. And as I've said before, design as you go, and it's all one big learning experience. So I am ready to actually start assembling the lumber stand, but it's raining. So I think what we're going to do for the rest of today is go inside and get dinner ready. And then we'll pick it up tomorrow.